Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good afternoon, everyone. Phil Penarski here with the Wood TV Live Desk, still live from the JW Marriott in downtown Grand Rapids for the 2023 West Michigan CEO Summit. It's getting close to wrapping up finally, and we are being joined by News 8 business reporter, Madalyn Buursma, who's here, and she's here. She's been at the summit all day. She's here to break down really what she saw and recap everything that happened tonight. So, Madalyn, just kind of getting started off, how was your experience with the summit?
It's been great to hear from these business leaders. One of the things I really enjoyed was a panel about family businesses here in West Michigan and just the impact that they have on the local economy. One woman said that they have an impact on 54% of the local economy. So that was really great to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we've talked to several business leaders across West Michigan today on the live desk, and really got to hear from their perspectives. What was it like getting to hear from a lot of the different speakers that we didn't necessarily get to talk to, but we're still prominent members in the business community?
Sure. Yeah, well, so one theme that they all talked about was resiliency, and what resiliency is for them and for their businesses. And so it's cool to hear the different definitions that they had. One woman said that for her, resiliency is being calm and confident, and that really stuck out to me. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah. Now, and you mentioned just some of the things that you really enjoyed about the summit and hearing from the speakers. What was maybe the number one or top three biggest takeaways that you got from the speakers? Being able to kind of network and meet all these different business leaders. What are you taking away from today's event?
Yeah. Well, so one thing, the speaker that just went on stage talked about loneliness in leadership and how it's so important to surround yourself with a network and with a team to combat that loneliness, so that different CEOs and presidents of these companies really have a network to fall back on. So I think that was one of the biggest takeaways that I took. The second was actually going back to the resiliency thing. We talked about who in your life has just embodied resiliency. And I thought of my grandma and how she has been so resilient in her life. And one of the speakers talked about his family and how they were resilient throughout growing up. And he was an immigrant who grew up in Mexico and then came to Chicago and eventually started a business here in West Michigan. And he talked about the resiliency that his brothers showed, and so that was really cool to hear.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that kind of just, that's obviously the theme of the 2023 CEO Summit, was creating resiliency in business and being resilient. What did you learn as far as resiliency goes? You mentioned these stories from some of the speakers. Did you pick up on any, interesting topics or lessons really about resiliency and being resilient from these speakers?
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear the different definitions and the stories that people had about what they've seen resiliency in both their personal lives and in their businesses. Obviously, one thing that they talked about a lot was COVID and the pandemic and businesses surviving through that. A speaker from Corewell Health talked about leading her team through the pandemic, and so that was really cool to hear.
Absolutely. All right, Madalyn. Well, the summit is starting to wrap up now, but there's still a lot left to do, so we're going to let you get back to it, and we really do appreciate you coming down and recapping what's been happening so far.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, absolutely. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning in to this latest edition of the Wood TV Live Desk, as well as all the other ones we've had today. We really do appreciate it, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.